Trump Jr. is saying, listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to be politically correct with y'all whatsoever. I want you guys to know that this administration is really trying to start World War III ahead of my father's presidency, and they are trying to embolden and enable the military-industrial complex to do so. This is what Trump Jr., Donald Trump Jr. says. He says, he said on Sunday, yesterday, that the United States' recent aid to Ukraine is a bid by the Biden administration to start World War III before his father, President-elect Donald Trump, takes office in January. Biden, 81, authorized the Ukrainian military to use American-supplied long-range missiles to strike targets inside of Russia on Monday, a stark departure from his previous approaches that have aimed to de-escalate war. Trump Jr. tweeted that the military-industrial complex is trying to undermine his dad before he takes office by pushing the war further into chaos. He says the military-industrial complex seems to want to make sure they get World War III going before my father had a chance to create peace and save lives. And I 100% agree with him. I 100% agree with him. Let me show what he said again. He said, the military-industrial complex seems to want to make sure they get World War III started and going before my father has a chance to create peace and save lives. Now, think about this for a second and imagine that we had voted for another 4 to 8 years of Biden, which obviously Obama preceded him and Clinton preceded him. Imagine that we had followed you libtards to the polls and voted not in our best interests, and that people that were benefiting from this, because don't get it confused. I am not mistaken even a little bit. Do not get it confused. I absolutely, positively believe that the big donors and the ones that were sitting in all of those suites at the Democratic National Convention, and the reason why everybody is pissed and why there's a civil war going on in the Democratic Party is largely based off of the fact that it's a lot of money that's going to be lost when Trump get into office. And one of the ways in which it's going to be lost is that there's going to be people that was going to benefit and continue to benefit off of this war and the stuff that's going on overseas and all of these proxy wars and the supplying of missiles and weapons and the military industrial contracts and all of these things that continue to benefit everybody else on behalf of the taxpayers, because let's be clear, you're paying for it. So while you think that they're selling you reproductive freedom that they never would have been able to pass to get Roe v. Wade back into federal politics in the first place, in which Trump is saying, listen, I'm not for people taking out babies as a form of contraception, but I am for choice in that y'all can vote on it on a local level and in your state versus as being a federal issue, because we don't need to have our hands in it while they selling you on something on your emotions. And that's what they spent $1 billion in their campaign for. Really what they doing is cloaking it behind the idea that it's a lot of people that still got to get rich from this campaign and from y'all staying in office. And I need y'all to be there because we're not really trying to pull out of this war in Ukraine. You don't think that it's people that benefit off of lives being lost every single day and they go to sleep well with no conscience? Watch The Lord of War. Go watch Lord of War. You should watch it. It's blood on people's hands more than ever before. There is so much profit that comes from having people fight and kill each other. Look at it on a smaller level. Look at it on a microscopic level and tell me there are not people that benefit from you robbing your neighbor or you killing people in your own neighborhood. Now look at it on a mass, global, worldwide scale. What you think that these guns just get in the hood because they making them? You think that they making guns in the hood? You think they making makeshift guns? Where you think they get this stuff from? But you think that it's not a benefit? Listen, it's the same thing for all of these institutions that stood up to keep you stupid, dumb, poor, and tied to the Democratic Party. When you think about, for example, family court, and women sat there and they got mad at men and they said, Why do y'all want to do away with the way that family court is set up? Just pay your child support. Well, listen, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry that keeps so many people employed. And so instead of the market dictating what people are supposed to do, we then need more lawyers and more judges and more money being passed through the system so that administrators and all of these people can get paid just so they can stand up a process to keep you tied to a party that's not going to be beneficial to you or your family long term. And it's the same thing when it comes to every other system. If you want to talk about systematic oppression, then talk about the very ones that you vote for in place. It has nothing to do with some cloak underwords. It has everything to do with the thing that's sitting right in front of your face. They not hiding it no more. They telling you right in front of your face, hey man, we ain't doing that. We ain't rocking like that. And you better go and vote. Follow your girl to the polls and rock out. And we want to take your guns. So you better have a taser when somebody run up in your crib with a switch. You better have a taser when somebody run up in your crib with a switch. Because if you don't got a taser, you going to jail for defending your own property. And if you shot them in the back, you getting double life. And you better hope the next administration pardon you. You getting double life. Eric Trump Jr. is going on to say, gotta lock in those trillions. Life be damned, imbeciles. So now you finally got an administration that will tell you the truth to your face. And y'all sit there and y'all call them racist. You say he gonna take away your rights. Who's taking away your rights? Who's taking away your rights? He said you gotta lock in them trillions. Biden's decision permits the Ukrainian military to use U.S.-made Army tactical missile systems in the Kursk region, which sits on the northeast border between the two countries. The missiles have about 190-mile range and boast massive blast radius, which can be about 1 kilometer depending on the type of warhead. Now, let's just say, for example, something is authorized, and it just so happened to mistakenly go to the wrong location and hit the wrong thing, and it's the wrong button using a U.S. missile. Then what happens? Because I want to revisit this conversation, and I'm going to say I told you so. But by then, it's going to be too late and it ain't going to really matter. Everybody that got somebody that's in the military, the armed services, the U.S. Air Force, the Navy, I want y'all to remember all of these libtards that decided that they wanted to keep these people in office. Listen, I ain't even care. It's people that sit here and they say, oh, man, y'all won. What you still complaining about? We not. They still in office doing damage before the president-elect ever coming into office. They still in the office doing damage. They got 2 months left, and all of a sudden, we just so happen to plunge deeper into the war. Dog, you got 2 months left. You a lame duck coach. Y'all ever seen a lame duck coach in the NBA? They just mailing in, or they trying to figure out how they can get their next position themselves to be an assistant or for their next. You a lame duck coach. You know you're getting fired at the end of this situation. Now you decide to really, really govern and make sure that they can put themselves in. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't put Kamala Harris as the president of the United States of America before Trump ever take office. Insane. And you got people over here like Guillotine. Elon Musk rigged the election. No more than rigging that 81 million votes that we just so happen to mysteriously see, and we ain't never seen something like that in our entire life. You should be thankful that we got people like Elon Musk who can deploy some level of diplomacy over in China where he does business. Ukraine signaled that it would take advantage of the new stock of weapons within days after months of pleading for permission to use the American missiles amid crushing setbacks on the battlefield. Goes on to say, and this is what Russian lawmakers are claiming. Let's get it from their side. Y'all ever seen letters from, I think it was a movie called Letters from Iwo Jima or something like that? They also tell the story now that the world wars were supposedly ended and we're plunging ourselves into something that we're not supposed to be in the first place. Letters from Iwo Jima was a great movie because it also told the story from the other side of the people, right? And so they're saying that Biden's decision on Ukraine long-range missiles is a big step towards World War III. Goes on to say President Biden has taken a very big step towards starting World War III by giving Ukraine permission to deploy U.S.-made long-range missiles. This is what they're saying, the Russian lawmakers are saying, to attack targets deep in Russia. Top Russian lawmakers have warned, warned. Ukraine has already said it plans to take advantage of the policy change within a matter of days, and it goes on to say this is a very big step towards the war, towards World War III. Vladimir Dvorovskos, the first deputy head of the Russia's upper house of International Affairs Committee, according to Russia's TASS news agency. Look at them in the office, taking photo ops. Goes on to say other Russian officials, too, warned that the move would spark an immediate response. Goes on to say the West has decided on such a level of escalation that it could end with the Ukrainian statehood in complete ruins by the morning. Andrei Klishach, a senior member of the Federal Council, Russia's upper chamber of parliament, said on the Telegram messaging app. The apparent decision comes just weeks before President-elect Donald Trump takes office and follows months of pleas from the Ukrainian president to allow Ukraine's military to use U.S.-supplied weapons to hit Russian military targets far from its border. The White House declined comment. No. And so here's my thing. How do you decline comment? How do you decline comment? How do you not make yourself available to the United States of American people and answer for it? And I want to see all of you liberals. I want to see y'all come to the front of the congregation and explain this to us. Help us to understand, since we so dumb and since we made the wrong decision by dragging y'all into this situation by electing Trump, and while Trump was sitting there at a UFC fight trying to enjoy a night off and look at John Jones give him the belt and do the Trump dance, Sleepy Biden and Kamala Harris was in the war room with their hand on the button. So I would love for y'all to sit here and explain to me and give me some insight and information on how this actually makes sense for the American people and for the world. For everybody that voted for Kamala Harris and the military-industrial complex, tell me why this makes sense. And please miss me with anything that it got to do with Trump. Anytime that y'all explain y'all decisions, I want you to remove Trump from it and just substantiate your argument. Tell me what you can't do with your bodies in a second and tell me how this makes sense. There was no immediate response from the Kremlin either, which has previously warned that it would see a move to loosen the limits on Ukraine's use of U.S. weapons as a major escalation in the ongoing conflict. Zelensky, meanwhile, appeared to confirm the news in his evening address, saying that the missiles would speak for themselves. What the flying freak is going on in this federal government? What is happening in the United States of America 2 months, a month and a half before 2020 or 2025? What the heck is going on in the United States of America that y'all, somebody justify it, anybody, please, somebody tell me how it makes sense that we are authorizing long-range missiles deep into Russian territory with United States ATACMs continuing to fund this war, giving them money 2 months prior to Trump taking office. Somebody tell me that. Somebody give me some insight. I'm curious. I'm watching. I don't see no liberals in the chat all of a sudden. They all got something to say. They've been talking tough for the last 3 years. Now everybody is quiet. Everybody is quiet. Shh. We don't have no comment right now. Where Kamala Harris at? She was out there talking about, joy and love and all of this stuff. I would like to know if she's sitting there right with Biden like she said that she does for every major decision. I would like to know if she's laying up with Biden, making a decision on whether or not we should allow long-range missiles over to Ukraine. Curious. Love to see it. Today, many in the media are saying that they have received permission to take the appropriate actions. But strikes are not made with words. Such things are not announced. Missiles will speak for themselves. They certainly will. Ukraine's first deep strikes are likely to be carried out using ATACMS rockets, which have a range of up to 190 miles. And this is how they choose to execute. Amazing. Amazing. Well, I hope that y'all happy. Let me give y'all a round of applause for the way that y'all go about doing things. I hope that you're happy. You getting what you wanted now. Now you get what you wanted. See, the reason why we're not so sad about what happens in these liberal environments, such as these small towns, is because you can't sit here and complain about the thing that you asked for. Y'all voted him, or y'all allowed and y'all justified them stealing an election in 2020. And so now this is what you voted for. Y'all voted for these people to be in office, to be able to have these, the hand on the button, and to meddle in other things and to fund these proxy wars to your own detriment. Now we got to spend the next 2 years trying to massage and fix the situation and put ourselves in a better position than what y'all left us. Y'all leaving us in shambles.